The Rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com.
Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. The reason that I can say that is you have a couple of different factors occurring right now as we speak on the world stage. The dollar is being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to engage with the United States. But the third factor that affects each and every one of us is that there is a diaspora from the African continent that's willing and able to engage our brothers and sisters on the continent.
All right. Let me get situated here, family. Shalom, salama, siyemi, shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, where they have a bloodline that's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel. We're a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. Welcome you this morning. This morning, I am in Harlem. We'll do this. Here in Harlem, Harlem World. Can you all hear me? Maybe one in the chat if you can hear me. Trying to do a couple different things while I'm navigating the cold streets is definitely one way to say it. Cold streets. So yeah, forgive me, family. I was gonna try and come on a little earlier today, as I'm kind of going through this walkway. I'm actually doing this coming on up here to the hospital. It's actually kind of interesting. There's a story attached to the Harlem Hospital, and where I'm at right now, I gotta just do a little bit of some recon for some of my personal things going on. So please bear with me, family, and then I'll be kind of coming back into this. So the reason I'm here is that back in the day, my grandfather, back in the 60s, he had gotten out of the Navy where he was in Suffolk, Virginia. And then he came on up here with the urging of some of his family that he had, or excuse me, not family, but friends, he had befriended. And they're actually Italian folks that he had befriended. And they said for him to come on up and do some work because, back at that time, the money was plentiful. But the reality was that my grandfather actually, he was decent for being a country boy from out of Virginia. He was decent. But when you understand, you kind of get the same itch as your family, as your folks, you know, you know where it comes from. You know how we are as a people and how that lineage, comes down. And so for him to have been in the Navy and have traveled the world and, seen different things, because he was an engineer back during World War II. He was a CB and like civil defense. That was like their beginning of their kind of the Coast Guard era, merchant marines, things of that nature. So he would patrol all up and down the East Coast, to ensure that you didn't have any violent actors per se, uh, you know, coming through. So, oh, that's interesting. I haven't seen these lists like that before. That's interesting. So, as I'm here, I'm just here, just doing a walkthrough because um, there's something interesting about this building that I'm walking through, or walking past. If you all are seeing it, I'm seeing it too. And I'm gonna say, um, I don't know how the Most High does things, but when He does things, He always does things really very much full circle. And the reason I had to laugh is because in order for me to have been on this path, to even have come across this building, it was during the time I had some issues with one of my family members. And she had stated, she said, just leave everything alone and do something else. I was heartbroken, but the reality was I wasn't surprised because what the enemy literally meant for evil, that's going over the Bronx right there. That's why I came in last night. Everything here was all sorts of dark. So I really couldn't see things. And this is now kind of interesting that I can see things. Oh yeah, notice the place is all sorts of gentrified. Gentrifi- Gentrification is all here. I'm thinking that most of these folks are coming over from, across the Bronx to come over into Harlem. So yeah. Oh yeah, now these buildings are looking really good. And I'm not sure of how things have kind of transpired, but I can only imagine that, different things are not the same as they once had been. That dog just ran out in the street and almost got hit. So you put your dogs on a leash. My dog's going back down the street. So this morning, as I've done my walk, I've seen a dog almost get hit by a car. Seen an Asian person with his pants down to his ankles, talking to himself on the corner. And all right, thank you. And and it's interesting because when you have a lot of people kind of jam-packed into an area, you're gonna see a lot of different things. And for me, and coming to New York, it was always the worst part about going to New York was literally going to New York. The worst part about coming to Manhattan and the island was actually getting onto the island itself. And, these are some of the things that we have here that that we've had experience with when it comes to not just physical restrictions, but you also have spiritual restrictions. And we've gone through a lot of that in this time of bondage and captivity. And don't get it twisted. People are walking around, they're having their semblance of freedom, but there's a chain attached. When you talk about and read in Revelations chapters 17 and 18, not just with the pharmakia, but it was what? It was the souls of men. Because why? Because it was quite simply the resources. Because where people's resources are, that's literally their heart. And they give you that connection that, this is what you need no matter what. And that's where we have been trapped, and we trap ourselves. All of us. I have fallen into that trap in my younger years. But we didn't understand that the actual resource has always been ourselves. The Most High literally gave that to us. That's why they brought us on over here. Do you not see? They didn't go into Europe and bring over millions of people packed on slave ships. They didn't do that in Asia. They didn't do that in India. But they did that over in Africa. They did that targeting specific tribes, specific peoples. But they just want to tell you that, we're just this and just that. But that's the lie that we've always been told. We're always just this, you're always just that. So yeah, I'm not too thrilled or enthralled with this place. I mean, I think this is kind of an earnest, like my third time of actually being in New York, being in the city, actually walking the city, staying the night in the city. And really, I've never stayed the night on the island here in Manhattan. And really, just quite simply, it's expensive. I was trying to stay with my cousins. They're about 20 minutes away east of of the airport. So they're in a different direction, totally different direction. Here you're about 45 minutes west of the airport. And, a lot of the cultures have been replaced. So they even segment on out parts of Harlem with Spanish Harlem and things of that nature. So they give you a fragment of what it was historically, but it's definitely not the case anymore, you know, by and large. So coming here and getting some snapshots of, how the city is and things of that nature. You gotta breathe. Okay, well, our man's got his pants up now. That's good. Well, somebody help him on out. You got the YMCA over there in the distance. You see that building. I am terribly underdressed here. Terribly underdressed. So being on the move is kind of my only recourse of being comfortable and warming up. I did not realize that it was going to be in the upper 30s, 40s, coming from someone that was leaving conditions of low 80s, overcast with some humidity. So try my best to stick around and not have my fingers freeze and things of that nature. But it is definitely interesting to see how things have been shaping on up. So yeah, I just wanted to show you. Look, I was actually able here to make it. But in doing so, a couple different things had happened. The engagement that I'll be having this afternoon is confirmed. A lot of our people, especially when they're dealing with the continent, part of what we have to do, we have to give them grace and we have to give them favor because they're not necessarily in that timing that we are accustomed to. It's like, well, why couldn't you do this earlier? Why couldn't you respond earlier? And it's like, hey, listen, I responded. And then you try to explain to them, yeah, I get that you responded, but that response mechanism is something that, you know, we just haven't been accustomed to with everything. And that can create a lot of issues because we want some things that are direct. We don't really want the indirect. We don't really want the slow go process. But the reality is we need to have that because we need to find out where everybody's coming from because we need to understand how much distrust we've had to endure as a people. And that distrust, I'm telling you, has been something that has torn our people apart for generations. And now we're here at a time to where we have to come together to actually have some sort of healing. I'm going to say some sort. So it was literally right before I got on here. I had some contacts that I need to definitely work on right now because we are about a 4 or 5 hour time difference, and because we fell back an hour, we're now at about a 5 hour time difference. So what's 9 o'clock to them or to us is actually 1 o'clock to them, or 2 o'clock, matter of fact. So we lost a little bit of time. And this is for the effort to coordinate medical supplies to Jamaica. So that was a blessing. Hallelujah. Because there's a lot of coordination that has to take place on many different levels, many different fronts. A lot of people aren't able to see everything that's happening. And I don't know if it has people feel a certain sort of way that, well, they got to trust the process. But I understand, listen, if our own forefathers couldn't trust that the Most High was speaking through Moses, and I'm not saying I'm a Moses, but I'm just saying the hardest thing to do is to show that we're trustworthy, even when you're producing, because that's just been us. That's just been the curses that we've been up under. And those curses, they're real. And I'm glad that every single day, what the Most High has been doing has been exposing these curses, has been exposing what we've gone through, the invisible shackles that we've been exposed to. Because nobody will tell us that, especially if they want to continue to have those shackles on us to control. Our essence, our energy, I don't care what you want to say, who we are as a people. That has been the system of control. And that's how they've been able to be enriched off of us. Enriched. And let me tell you, the funny thing is, just with us, they're only scratching the surface. Because the reality is that if our people truly understood how valuable we are, it would be a very different story. Well, at least I'm around is on out here doing the street exercises. Can't knock them for that. Yeah, I'm over here trying to hang ball. Oh my goodness. That's pretty funny. I guess it'll start getting probably a little bit more livelier here in about another, hour or 2 or 3. As the sun gets on up, people are on out here and about doing their shopping, doing their thing that they do to survive. Yeah, It's a different world, but we're all the same people. Seeing the leaves and everything else change for the fall. My daughter was asking, she said, "Dad, take lots of pictures. I want to see the leaves. I want to see the leaf changes." Because, you only have about maybe 3, 4 more weeks, and then these leaves are obviously off the tree, and then it's off to winter time. And so from here, then, I'm kind of getting towards the edge of Harlem per se. And, that's what you then have, I guess, in the city, or I guess that's northern New York City going into Central Park. I don't know if I really want to even engage that one. So, yes, family, just want to do a little quick walkabout. I'm here in Harlem World. Harlem World. I think he said this is Lenox and West 125th. Yeah, Lenox Ave. So I was just on Lenox Ave and coming down 125th. Harlem World, go right here. Yeah, definitely a little interesting. A lot of people, lots of people. So, you know, it is what it is. This is a city. It can be a little overwhelming. I mean, to say the least. But, it has the character. It looks like this part it's still in the gentrification process. Looks like not all of has been gentrified just yet. But it will be. It definitely will be. But I would like to, kind of maintain, yeah, they're doing gentrification because their goal is something that we as a people don't even understand. But for those that believe the word, oh yeah, we definitely understand it. We understand that they're doing what they need to do in preparation to get us all on out of here. So, however, wherever they'll say that this building or that building and this office and that office, I would not be surprised if they say, "Oh, well, you know what? It was just that a load here of white people that, you know, all encompassing." I would not be surprised if they say that. And then it will be the reality of nobody messes with the US after, what happened to this country, after what they have gone through, what's happened. Because to me, this is a snapshot in time of, oh, sorry, I'm getting blinded. I love the construction dust. All righty. Make sure I wash my eyes out. Yeah, it won't be the same thing that, folks have been accustomed to. It won't be the same thing that people have, you know, either looked. Worked at. These are the things that what they will try to say, how they'll try to say it, how they'll just try to spin it. Well, I think people realize if somebody's lying and somebody's narrative, you know, isn't quite working out to where they were trying to shape it. And honestly, and that's okay. Because now we're working and moving and doing tremendous things that then begin to support some tremendous changes. One of the things that I'm very, very cognizant of, especially coming here and walking through here, in terms of all the social programs that have been targeted by the federal government. Well, these programs, they're targeting these communities, these areas. These are the people that's going to get hit the hardest. Yeah, Florida's going to get hit. Atlanta's going to get hit. But some of these programs are designed to give people a chance to even survive when you have a economic climate to where, to be quite honest, is not survivable. So for this to happen, that brother was just holding an imaginary cup. Boy. As I continue to assess his Apollo, I'm outside the Apollo. So they're working on that. That's the Apollo. We're going to have a lot of our people dealing with some extreme, tremendous mental health. I do say all these things because I think that for a lot of our people, it becomes a situation where it's just, oh, everything's honky-dory. Everything's going to be all good. Everything's going to work itself on out. It will, but not right away. It'll get there, but it will not be a dramatic change. It'll be a dramatic change that will occur as people have to up and leave. And I'd like to kind of see how and what these streets would definitely look like as things start to thin out dramatically. But, some of our people, they don't think that that's going to happen. But all I know is what the word says, and now we're seeing this. Now we're seeing it happening to us in front of our faces. So again, with that, I wasn't going to stay here very long on this live. I had to get on here just to let you all know that I did make it on out here. Actually, it was a pretty decent flight, pretty decent ride getting on over here. Things here are very, very, as you can imagine, it's very expensive. Being able to try to go anywhere, travel anywhere, look, they they know how to lock down people, and I was just thinking about that as I was driving from JFK International up here to Harlem. And, on the movies, you'll hear the little quips and the anecdotes of, oh, yeah, we had to, I'm saving up my money to get out the city. And it's kind of like, well, why can't you just get out the city? And then I realized, no, it's expensive. It's expensive. You don't know what type of trips and games that are played. I only know of them and some of them because of my family living out in Long Island. That's the situation right there. So as I start heading back to get some work done, no, this is not a vacation. It really is not. I got to get some work done. I got to get some things planned. I have meetings now this morning. And some that may even be tonight. So that's what I always say. Please, please keep me in your prayers. Please keep Q2A in your prayers. Keep all of us. Keep our people in your prayers. We're here in a very interesting time to support one another, to build with one another. The only people that can do it is us, because that's how the Most High has literally empowered us. I don't know if people truly understand this, but we've actually been empowered in this generation. This is why, with all these COINTELPRO things and everything else, look, I know we're not the only ones doing this. I get it. But that's the blessing, because we're not the only ones doing this. But guess what? The Most High is doing his work. It's an awesome work. So all we need to do is just trust him and just do and work on the part of the wall that the Most High has assigned to us. That's it. So, family, I am going to get ready to sign off here and contact some folks, some very important folks over on the continent. I just got that message literally at 8:15. So I don't want, I do not want to to I would say be obnoxious to this person, because this is part of the Jamaican relief effort, these emergency Jamaican relief efforts. Depending on how things go, then it triggers a more rapid response. So you're literally seeing basically how we would say in the military, kind of a con op or con plan, a conditions operation or conditions plan, like literally unfolding. And then we're off to the operation of literally getting the containers moved, shipped on out, and go. But in that time, that support, those logistics have to come through from our community once that trigger gets pulled, which I know we can because of how we are pulling this trigger and maneuvering through this trigger. So, with that being said, family, it has been a blessing. And yeah, no, I definitely have to be, kind of wary on out here on these mean streets of Harlem. You know, Feels like I'm coming back on like a black exploitation background. Oh, goodness. All right. Yeah, so with that being said, let me go ahead and get my little bit of time in the sunshine and go from here. So with that said, family, most time one, I'll see you all on Monday. Back in a more warmer climate, more I would say ecologically friendly, with more trees. So, oh, so yep, reporting live from Harlem. This is Brother Karras. All right, family. You all be blessed. And remember, family, the Most High is with us wherever we're going. And with that said, family, shalom, salama, sieme, shalom, peace and blessings. Yasharah.